Galatians chapter 4, verse 1 to 3. Say, the heir, as long as he is a child, he is not different from a servant or a slave, even though he is the Lord of the house. But he is subject under tutors and governors until the time appointed of his father. Verse 3, very important. Say, so even we, when we were children, we are in bondage under the elements of this world. If you don't grow, you will be under the elements of this world. So if you were here last week Saturday, or no, last week Sunday, right? I was able to show us how that every man is vulnerable at infancy. Every man is what? Vulnerable at infancy. In other words, every man is defenseless as a child. Every man is defenseless at childhood. So I took us further to prove the point, and we saw how Jesus, God in the flesh, because he came as a child, for unto us a child is born, but unto us a son is given, and it is a son that government was conferred on his shoulder. Do you understand now? So but we saw when he was a child, there was a threat to kill him by King Herod, right? Matthew chapter 2 verse 13. And we saw God sent angel Gabriel to tell the father Joseph, the foster father. Verse 13 particularly, he said, take the child and flee to Egypt. Look at it. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. That word, flee. But when they took him and flew to Egypt, but when he grew up, we saw something change. In John chapter 10, verse 17 and 18, after he grew, the same Jesus went to the enemies and said to them, no man can take my life from me. I have the power to lay it down, and I have the power to take it again. Wow. So what changed? Somebody say growth. That's it. So we saw that infancy limits authority. So even divinity became vulnerable at infancy. So every man is vulnerable at childhood or at infancy. So this is why infancy is a liability. Do anything possible to grow up spiritually. Do anything possible to grow up spiritually. So we now came to discuss about culture, right? Culture and tradition. Why is it so in the whole Africa that people became victims of the consequences of culture and tradition, even after they are born again, speaking in tongue? In fact, some of them pastors have died of culture. He became born again, that was not enough. The moment he became pastor, he said, I know they do culture again. They told him, oh God, you go die, you. And he died. We say, why is he so? And I open our eyes to see that the reason is what? The reason is the same thing we're talking about, infancy. People, when they become born again, they refuse to grow up into spiritual maturity so that they can outgrow the forces that back up the cultures and tradition. Because there are forces or powers that back every culture and tradition. So if you were here last week Sunday, I took us to, we saw how culture, the power that back it up. I won't go there in this recap. Go and look for the message. But we see the answer is very simple. When people come born again, they reject culture, which is good. You're supposed to reject culture the moment you are born again. But that is not all. You need to grow up. Because if you don't grow up, we say every man is what? vulnerable at infancy. So they become born again, abandon culture, but they couldn't grow up into spiritual maturity so that they can outgrow the forces behind these cultures. So everything culture say, it happened to them. It just happened to them. Hallelujah. So this is one of the benefits of spiritual growth. That's why I took us to see a man called Paul. Paul, when he grew up, he said, I used to be a Jew, but I'm no longer a Jew. Contrary to his first introduction, he said, I am Hebrew of Hebrew. Meaning, my father Jew, my mother Jew. I'm not like Timothy. Timothy is father Greek, mother Jew. Me, I am Hebrew of Hebrew. But when he grew up, his language changed by revelation. Philippians chapter 3 verse 20, he said, our citizenship is from heaven.